In this problem, it is given that the table given below shows the data related to the average marks scored by boys and girls in primary and secondary classes of a school during the period 1996 to 2002. It means the average marks of the students in primary classes in 1996 was 40, and that of the girls in secondary classes in the same year was 62. And it also gives the average marks of all the boys and girls studying in primary and secondary classes for the same period. From here we can infer that 48 was the average marks of students studying in primary and secondary classes put together in 1996, and the same thing for girl was 58. So that's all what we needed to know about the table. Now let's move to the questions. In the first question, it states in 1996 which of the following could be the total number of boys in either primary or secondary classes of this school. From the table, it can be seen that the average marks of boys in primary classes in 1996 was 40, that in the secondary classes 54, and considering both the classes together was 48. Using allegation, we get the ratio of number of boys in primary and secondary classes as 6 is to 8 respectively. If 6x is the number of students in in the primary classes in 1996 and 8x in the secondary classes, then the total number of students comes out to be 14x. From here we can see that the number of students in primary and secondary classes put together in 1996 must have been a multiple of 14, and after having a look at options, option A comes out to be the correct answer. Let's move to the second question. Which of the following statements is definitely true? Basically, in this question, we need to verify the truthfulness of the options. In first option, it is given that the total number of boys in the years 1997 and 1998 put together was greater than the total number of girls in the years 1998 and 1999 put together. As we discussed about table, nowhere in the table it is given that girls are boys related in any way, so it's not possible to establish relationship between girls and boys either in a given year or in different years. So we would not be able to check the veracity of statement given in option A. So let's move to next option. In this option it says the total number of boys in all the given years put together was greater than the total number of girls in the years 1997 and 1998 put together. Again, we don't know how to establish relation between girls and boys, so veracity of this statement again cannot be checked. Let's move to third option. It says the total number of students in primary classes in the years 1996 and 1997 put together was lesser than the total number of students in secondary classes in the years 1996 and 1997 put together. From the table, 40 was the average marks of student, students in primary classes in 1996, and that in secondary classes was 54, and considering the two classes together was 48. From here we get the ratio of number of boys in the primary classes to that in the secondary classes in 1996. Using the same concept for girls, we get the ratio of girls in the primary to that in secondary classes as 4 is to 4. Proceeding in similar fashion for the year 1997, we get the ratio of boys in primary to that in secondary classes as 4 is to 8, and that for the girls the ratio comes out to be 4 is to 8. If the number of boys in secondary classes in 1996 is 6 given, then the number of boys in secondary classes in the same year would have been 8 given. Proceeding in similar fashion, taking different variable, we get the number of girls in primary classes in 1996 as 4 given, that in secondary classes 4k2. Similarly, the number of boys in primary classes in 1997 4k1, and in secondary classes 8k3. Girls in primary classes in 1997 4k4, and that in secondary classes 8k4. From here the total number of students in primary classes in the years 1997 and 1996 put together comes out to be 6k1 plus 4k2 plus 4k3 plus 4k4, and that in the secondary classes 8k1 plus 4k2 plus 8k3 plus 8k4. From here we can definitely say that the number of students in primary classes in the years 1996 and 1997 put together was lesser than the total number of students in secondary classes in the years 1996 and 1997 put together. Let's move to the next question. Let's move to the next question. In this question, it is given that the average marks scored by all the students in the years 2000 and 2001 was 63 and 72 respectively, and the number of boys studying in secondary classes in the year 2000 was equal to the number of boys studying in the primary classes in the year 2001, then which of the following statements is definitely true? Before coming to the four statements, let's try to understand what data given in the question has to offer to us. Consider B1 be the number of boys in primary classes in year 2000 and B2 be the number of boys in secondary classes in the same year. From here we get 58 B1 plus 76 B2 equals 64 B1 plus B2. Using the same concept that we used in previous questions, we get B1 equals to B2. If G1 is the number of girls in primary classes in 2000 and G2 is the number of girls in secondary classes in 2000, then 60 G1 plus 80 G2 is equal to 62 G1 plus G2. From here we get G1 equals 9 G2. As it is given that the average marks scored by all the students in the years 2000 was 63. From here the total marks of boys in 2000 plus total number of girls in 2000 will be equal to the average marks of all the students in 2000 into the total number of students. So 6 is this quantity will be equal to 63 into B1 plus B2 plus G1 plus G2. This gives us B1 plus B2 equals G1 plus G2. The total number of students in 2000 is B1 plus B2 plus G1 plus G2. As we know that G1 plus G2 is equal to B1 plus B2, from here we get B1 plus B2 twice of it, and we also know that B1 is twice of B2. From here we get the total number of students in 2000 as 6 B2. If B3 is the number of boys in primary classes in 2001 and B4 the number of boys in secondary classes in 2001, G1 G3 the number of girls in primary classes in 2001, and G4 the number of girls in secondary classes in 2001 using the similar logic that we used to find the total number of students in 2000. We get the total number of students in 2001 as 9b3 upon 2. It is also given that the number of boys studying in secondary classes in the year 2000, which is B2, was equal to the number of boys in the primary classes in 2001, which is B3. From here, B3 can be written in term of B2. So this is equal to B2, 9B2 upon 2. Now let's proceed to the options. The total number of students in 2000 was equal to that in 2001. Clearly it's not true, because the number of students in 2000 was 6b2 and that in 2001 is 9b2 upon 2. So first statement false. Come to the next second statement. The total number of students in 2000 was 40% more than the total number of students in 2001. Obviously it is not true, because 6b is 40% not more than that of 9b2 by 2, which is basically 4.5b2. In the next statement, it is asking the total number of students in 2000 was 20% less than the total number of students in 2001. Obviously it is not true, because the number of students in 2000 was more than that in 2001. So this is not a correct statement. Let's move to the last statement. The total number of students in 2000 was 33.33% more than the total number of students in 2001. Yes, it is true, because 6 is 33.33% more than that of 4.5. So from here we can conclude that statement D is the correct answer, as it is definitely true. So let's move to the last question of this set. In this question, it is given that the average marks of all the students in 2002 was 80 and the number of boys in secondary classes was 500, then the total number of students in 2002. If B1 is the number of boys in primary classes in 2002 and B2 is the number of boys in secondary classes in 2002, then we get 64 B1 plus 76 B2 equals 78 B1 plus B2. From here we get B1 equals B2, and if G1 is the number of girls in primary classes in 2002 and G2 is the number of girls in secondary classes in 2002, we get 80 G1 plus 90 G2 equals 84 G1 plus G2, which gives us 2 G2 equals 2 G1 equals 3 G2, as it is given that the average marks of all the students in 2002 was 80. Total marks of all the boys in 2002, that is 70 B1 plus B2, plus total marks of all the girls in 2002 is 84 G1 plus G2 will be equal to 80 into the total number of students in 2002, which is B1 plus B2 plus G1 plus G2. From here we get 2 G1 plus G2 equals 5 B1 plus B2, as we know that B1 is equal to B2. From here we get 10 B1. From here we get 2 G1 plus 2 Z2 equals 10 B1. We also know that 2 Z1 is equal to 3 Z2. It means 3 G2 plus 2 G2 equals 10 B1. From here we get G2 equals 2 B1 and G1 equals 3 B1. It is also given that the number of boys in secondary classes was 500 in the given year, which means B2 is equal to 500, as B1 and B2 are equal, so this quantity will be equal to B1 also. From here we get G1 as 2 into 500, which is G2 as 2 into 500, which is 1000, and G1 as 3 into 500, which is 1500. Therefore, the total number of students in 2002 is 500 plus 500 plus 1000 plus 1500, which comes out to be 3500. So the total number of students in 2002 in this school was 3500, which is option D, and this is the correct answer.